lest we forget. Every Wednesday, this is what we want to be looking at. And we want to look at lest we forget on things that have happened and that we shouldn't forget because they bring lessons to us. Now, just this year alone, according to the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, between January 1st and March 31st, 2025, we have had 1,139 people die on our roads as a result of accidents. From those, pedestrians are the highest, 420. Drivers, 83. 189 passengers. Pillion passengers, that's motorbike passengers, 130. Pedal cyclists, that's bike cyclists. Bicycle, 16. Motorcyclists, 301. A total 1,139. This is an increase from last year's total of around the same period between January 1st and March 31st last year of 1,166. Lest we forget, these are not numbers. These are people. These are people who had families. These are people who left families. And if we just look at some of the stories that we have covered on The Nation just recently, on April 5th, just the other day, 15 killed, 14 injured in Kaplong, Kericho Highway, multiple crash. Look at this other story. April 3rd, 3 people killed in gruesome accident on Kisumu-Kisii Road. I'm left without a child, pain of a widow who lost family in a crash. She lost 3 children. These are tragedies that happen. And so when we just talk about tragedy as 7 family members die in Naivasha highway crash, it just sounds like, 7 family members die in Naivasha highway crash. But there's somebody who has lost everybody. Then there are very many other statistics of people who get injured in accidents. And we sort of assume. But the injuries vary. There are people who get slight injuries. There are those who get life-changing injuries. People are left paraplegic after road accidents. What is the issue with our roads? And that's why this morning we're saying, lest we forget, and we've invited somebody who advocates for road safety herself. She was involved in a road accident in 2015. Susan Wahu Ndonga is our guest. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
Welcome to Fixing the Nation.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here.
Yeah.
You advocate for issues of road safety. That's what we're here to do, to talk about it, to talk about your own experience. I'm sure you've engaged with very many people, both at community level and at decision-making level. Let's see what the issues are and start talking about how we can fix it. Before we get there, Jano has the day's quote.
I do. The day's quote was said by Michelle Obama at one of the Democratic National campaigns during President Obama's presidency. It was after, actually. It was during Hillary Clinton's campaign at the DNC. And she said, when they go low, we go high. And she was speaking and pushing back on the rhetoric that was there was a lot of vitriol during that election campaign. And that was her response. A lot of vitriol towards herself and towards the Democratic candidates. And so she said, I'm not going to come back with my own vitriol. All I'm going to say is that if they want to go low, we will go high.
Even one who agrees with that. Like you remember the day the speech was made.
Like yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a quote. I actually have it written on my journal around 2017, around my healing journey. Wow. So when she's saying that, I'm literally like,
you're in it.
I'm in it.
Yes.
When they go low, you go high.
You go high.
Yeah.
Tell us about your story.
So, wow. I mean, I feel like it's like yesterday, but it's been like almost now a decade. It happened in 2015. And it was just like a normal Sunday for me. My mom had dropped me somewhere. She's like, I want you to go buy chicken along Jogoo Road. And yeah, normal. It's like a normal Sunday. You're not expecting that anything is going to happen to you or like that. So yeah, we're going. Nikapanda matatu. It picked up more passengers. I remember it was like a bit excess, and I'm like, well, it's none of my business. Me, I'm seated like that seat from behind. I have my earphones. It's a normal Sunday, and all I remember was a very loud voice, and I was like, what is happening? And to my realization, like later, and being caught up in the whole thing, there was a fire. Someone had gotten to the bus with a jerrycan of petrol. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So there's fire literally in the bus. Luckily where it stopped, it was near a car wash, and how people like respond. Luckily the guys really did a good job, like trying to switch off the fire. And at this point it's hot because it's fire, and people are shouting, people are screaming. So for me, I remember thinking, where has the fire come from? But that didn't matter. All I knew is that I need to get out of this bus because it had stopped at this point, and guys are trying to put off the fire. And yeah, luckily I jumped out of a window, and emergency response, my hair was on fire. It took time. And then now again going to the hospital, the first response hospital. And yeah, my healing journey pretty much started, but that's what really happened in my case.
How did the fire start?
Yeah.
So someone, going back now, because now I don't know what was, because I had to do research. That's how I developed this passion for road safety and like really getting to understand what's really happening. So going back, someone had gotten to the bus with a jerrycan of petrol. And in my head, I'm like, okay, where was he going with a jerrycan of petrol? And then placed it right next to the battery. Then our buses were still having the external batteries. These days, of course, because things have changed pretty much a bit here and there. So it's under. But then aliweka hapo, and then the fire and the heat, excess passengers. This is like 2015, so a lot has changed since then, but that was the cause of the fire. Someone got into the bus with a jerrycan of petrol.
And you jumped out the window. Everybody was now scrambling for safety at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at this point, there was this guy who tried to break the emergency door. I'm very keen on the emergency response and the post-crash, because that's where a lot of lives could be saved, but because of our lack of sustainable ways of handling things, we find that we're not able to like save many people between the response and when the accident is happening. So someone tried to break the emergency door. Still then, it was like knee glass. At least these days I'm seeing it's some material that can easily like break. But yeah, he lost his 5 fingers because he was trying to break it. And it's a bus, and there were excess passengers. So ndio hata walichomeka wengi, and some of them even died. So it was pretty much one of those experiences you go through and you're like, there's a problem. And instead of talking about problems, because it's almost a decade later, I'm like, let's talk more about the solutions. And I'm so grateful to have like these meaningful conversations. Like, it's one of those things that we need to address, because it's the leading cause of young people aged from 9 to 21. So generally what it's doing, it's killing our future. The young people are the ones who are dying on the roads, and this is the future. And if you're killing the future, then where's the future? So when I'm thinking about road safety, I'm thinking about young people. I'm thinking about having a safe system where all of us are having these engagements, because it's a cultural thing too. So until we really start addressing and not just trying, like we need to do the action, because we've been talking a lot and we have the solutions, the sustainable solutions are there. I believe as young people, we have those capabilities, given opportunities, and like these conversations that we're doing here.
They do play a really big part. We're going to get into those specific solutions, but I want to know a little bit about your healing journey, because Eric pointed out very rightly that we see statistics, and sometimes you think they're statistics. People have lost lives. People are having to undergo physiotherapy, skin grafting. They're having to adjust to new lives. What was your healing journey like?
Well, my healing journey was full of transitions, changes, tears, because I am a woman, and I got third degree burns on my right arm and on my face too. Having to look at myself in the mirror and like, I changed, because what they had to do is like, they didn't do a skin grafting. What they did was peel my skin, because now the doctor who did my face and my arm was totally different. But the healing journey was one of, mentally, it crushed me, because at the end of the day, this is an experience you've had and it has changed your life. So we're seeing a lot of young people again being engaged in, we're having mental health, some of it arises from certain traumatic events, and then not having the support. Luckily, I had the support. So rehabilitation-wise, therapy-wise, it was expensive, you know, and it was one of those moments where I'm like, okay, I thank God I have the capabilities, but what about those people who don't have access to these things? And literally your life changes and you have to adapt. It's also the leading cause of disability in our country. Okay, not in our country, globally, because we are not born lame or with issues, but yeah, my healing journey was one of a kind, and just loving myself, you know, knowing that, yeah, we all have scars. Mine are just physical. And guess what? I had to keep on going because I realized now this is ignorance. There's a problem there. And not so many people talk about road safety in a way that from a survival eye, because, yeah, when you've lost a whole family or you've lost your daughter, you know, it's deep. So, yeah, my healing journey was full of lots of transition. Yeah, but I'm grateful for it all because something was seeded inside there.
Yeah, and I want to take from that. Thank you for sharing that. You've talked about the fact that you journaled something in 2017. So it shows that part of your healing, if I'm guessing, was also just kind of writing it out. Yeah. At which point did you feel the need to turn that pain into power, to say, I want to do more with my story, beyond just highlighting the fact that I survived? I feel like there's something deeper that needs to happen in society. When was that turning point for you?
That turning point was in 2018. So I had to go back to finishing school, because remember, this is happening and I'm just still a young girl. I was 20. So I had visions. I wanted to finish school. I've done procurement and contract management. And then I had just done my diploma. So having to go back. So my life has changed. I look different. I'm healing. My skin is changing. I'm changing. The way I see things have completely shifted, because the experience was a traumatic experience and it tend to do something to your brain. So for me, I was like, instead of focusing on like the trauma part, how about we start finding what's really going on? What's the root of this problem? And mostly it's human error. 98% of the road accidents we're not even supposed to be having this conversation, because already by default, our road transport, we all use roads. So what do you mean that they are not the most safest ways or way to get to home? And we all use roads. So my turning point was just having to go back to school. Everything had changed. My friends had changed, because it was this place of isolation, and I had to do a lot of inner work and to like really know who am I really as a woman, and what do I really want, and okay, this thing has happened to me, so what do I do with it? So turning that pain into power, and then realizing a lot of people are going through it. They don't even talk about it because it's not easy talking about it, but still there's power in sharing stories and using my story to continue to try and impact our community when it comes to change and that shift of cultural mentality. So yeah, that was my turning point.
Yeah, and it's a big thing to tackle, right? When you say it's 2018 and you say I can talk about my experience and use it to make our laws better, make our roads safer. How do you even begin to tackle this huge monster called road accidents, road carnage? Where do you start? Do you start with policy? Do you start with the law? Do you start with the testimonials? Where did you start?
So for me, it was the testimonials, and then now being like, okay, what are the approaches that we need to go about this? Because at the end of the day, for something to actually come to be, there has to be an approach. How are we going about this? So when it comes to policy advocacy, because it's like road safety is a huge giant, but I had to think about the policy advocacies and reforming that, like having to go through that. And I must applaud NTSA. They are really trying to, change when it comes to reviewing the acts, different types of acts. They're trying, but it's more of having to do the action. like the price is too high to pay. It's either we are, because we have those laws and regulations, and then the young people, I'll continue insisting on the young people because we are the ones dying and we are the ones with the solution. So engaging us is very important, and having us on those decision-making table. Unfortunately, it's the way it is because we are the ones dying, so we should at least have something to talk about for this thing that is killing us. And we have the solutions because technology-wise, look at the young people, the youths are doing amazing things when it comes to technology. So policy advocacy is where I thought, let's start there. Let's start from changing the way we think, changing our systems, because our systems also need to be updated. They need to be, when it comes to tech, we are really a fast forward country when it comes to technology. So how do we integrate that into our systems to make them sustainable and safe for all of us?
What do you have in mind? Give us an example of, where we can infuse a change in the system using tech.
Using tech, it's definitely the traffic lights. When I think about the traffic lights, if I look at our country, and we are a developing country, right? We're still, they call us that, but we are really on a larger scale when it comes to the African countries. So our traffic lights should be able to integrate technology. Like right now, on my way here, the traffic lights were not working simply because maybe the rain happened. I don't know, like we need to, the data collection and traffic lights, that's where we need to start, at least when it comes to tech. Because all these info from the dailies, from the Gazette to hospital to them, it's like we're having we have
all this information, but we're not using it.
We're not putting it to use.
Yeah, so the data collection part of it and it being analyzed. And I think NTS recently went into a collaboration with a tech company, so let's see how that comes about. But yeah, integrating technology in our traffic lights definitely, and the data collection part.
What about our policy? What needs to change? Because we have all these things that come following the accident in Kaplong 2 days ago. The Roads and Transport CS, Davis Churchill, released a statement and he said, there's a lot that the ministry is doing. The Ministry of Roads and Transport have developed necessary regulations and rules pursuant to the Traffic Act. These are the regulations that they've come up with. The Traffic Drink Driving Rules 2025, Traffic Motor Vehicle Inspection Rules 2025, Operation Commercial Service Vehicles Rules 2025, the Traffic Transport School Transport Rules, and so on and so forth. So they have all these. We are not short of policy, laws and regulations.
Yeah.
What's not working?
The implementation.
Really?
Straight up. And the accountability.
So for example, let me give you an example. Still reading from the statement by Davis Churchill, the CS. The Traffic Drink Driving Rules of 2025, they say that this will regulate drink driving. The breathalyzer rules 2011 were outlawed in the courts, and the Traffic Act did not provide an offense for drunken driving. The National Assembly amended Section 4 of the Traffic Act, so now it's criminal to actually be drunk while driving. That's why initially the breathalyzers were toa kitu. Now, any person who, when driving or attempting to drive or in charge of a motor vehicle on a road or other public place is under the influence of an alcoholic drink or a drug beyond the prescribed limits shall be guilty of an offense and liable to a fine of up to 100,000 shillings or prison for a term not exceeding 2 years or both. If you're convicted of an offense without prejudice to the power of the court to order a longer period of disqualification, you shall be disqualified for 12 months from the date of conviction for holding or obtaining a license. He says previously these regulations were gazetted. Now they are putting them back in. Is this because we did not have regulations in place that people have been drink driving?
We had regulations in place. Yeah, the regulations are always there. What they have done right now is review it, right? And reviewing it means doing some changes. When you look at the penalties they're doing, it has changed previously to the other act before. So this is an act that was there. See, he said like it was gazetted, like it's been there.
Yeah.
What they have done is reviewing it, which is very good. Like it's a good place to start. Apart from reviewing, let now when it comes to the action part, like those breathalyzers. They should all
alcohol.
Alcohol
It works better for all of us.
when it comes also to like making sure that the standard, right, and everything, we need to now make it not just a thing, equate to near school, like few months.
Operation.
It's an operation. And then after now we've finished the operation. So what we need is sustainable ways of just making sure that the laws and regulations that we already have are actually working. And like I said at the beginning, it's the approach. You know, the approach that we're going to take when it comes to road safety, it needs to be one that we are all together. We call it a safe system approach. It's whereby we are saying, okay, all of these stakeholders, we are all involved in this road. We all use the roads. So how about we now come up together and try and, not even try, action. Because honestly, the word trying just gets on my nerves when it comes to road safety.
Yeah.
We need to be activating the action plans and then also activating all these regulations and using them actually, because the price is too high to pay.
It's just too high. As we're going to a break, Jano, I'll ask you, do you think we have a road drink driving problem?
Yes.
It's been answered.
It's been answered.
Yeah.
It actually says corruption, weak enforcement of the traffic code, poor infrastructure, and DUI are some of the major causes of road accidents. So there is your answer.
Okay.
Yep.
Must we have alcohol on the road so we can stop drink driving?
No.
Okay, let's come back with that. Susan Wahu Ndonga is a road safety advocate. She's our guest today. Lest we forget the number of people who die every year from road accidents and the number of people who are left injured and maimed for life as a result of road accidents. That impact is just too much for us to forget. We'll be back shortly.
What's up, nation? This is Silas Mutai in Tel Aviv, and I'm fixing the nation by listening to the show each and every morning.
What's up, nation? My name is Moses Rono, the president of St. Paul's University, and this is my take on fixing the nation. If it is about yourself, you'll be given a spoon. If it is about your family, you'll be given a plate. But if it is about your generation, you'll be given access to the kitchen. It is so unfortunate that those with access to the kitchen have only themselves to think of, and they forget about the greater majority. And so I believe fixing the nation will entail those with a heart for the generation gaining access to the kitchen. And we are very ready to change our generation.
This is how you send a What's Up Nation video. Oh, my bad.
Janu.
What's that?
There we go. Okay.
I need you all to know that was part of the plan. There we have it. We have Wahu, we have Mariam, we have Latif. My name is Janet. We're fixing the nation, just having a conversation on how we can improve road safety in the country, one conversation at a time and one responsibility at a time. So very happy to be here. Ivo too, I should have pressed record. That was one for the books, Nasiku press record.
What?
So you did not record that.
It's not in my nature.
Do another one.
After you've done your best.
After I've
pose,
done my
Jana.
best. My name is Janet Mbogwa, and we are fixing the nation, one conversation at a time, trying to amplify matters around road safety right here with Susan Wahu, and we appreciate you guys for being part of the Fixers community.
Jackson was talking about your headroom.
My headroom is fine.
Yeah, he
For my
says
age,
it's fine.
It's good. Okay.
Yeah,
He said it's good.
Yeah, he didn't say that, but he said it's good.
Jackson is like, well,
Well,
How do you send us a video?
you take it vile Jano amechukua and you send it to
Asante, Mariam.
0112 500 400. 0112 500 400. It's also going to be appearing at the bottom of your screen. So send us that video tomorrow. It could be you. We'll be more than happy to share. All factors held constant, including headroom. We're East African, we're blessed. Naitwa acreage.
Wait, headroom, see forehead.
Naelewa ni
Headroom is space.
It
hapa,
ties
but
in.
I'm also
Ina tie
saying
in.
we also have this and that's okay.
Unajaribu kusema.
Tuko na space and that's a great thing. If it was like a billboard, do you know how much they would pay? Anyway, on to other things.
Kona room. Susan Wahu Ndonga is our guest this morning. We are saying, lest we forget road accidents and road carnage and road safety. She is a road safety advocate, and she's told us her own story. She was involved in a road accident in 2015, and since then she's gone through a lot, her own personal healing, but also she's decided, I want to take up this issue and highlight it, and for everybody else to see. There are comments.
Absolutely. I think it's commendable and incredible what Susan is doing with her story. Others agree. David says, so proud of Wahu and her initiative. Thank you for sharing your story. Smallest ever, one of the key factors contributing to Europe's impressive road safety record is the widespread adherence to road rules. From drivers to pedestrians, everyone plays by the book. We'll come back and see what Wahu Susan has observed, perhaps, with regards to other countries. Lenin Jeru, Kenya would be a superpower if all factors were constant. Lenny, I'm going to use that as who said that. It's a good one. My prince, to end road accidents, we must see beyond traffic laws and enforcement. Our roads poorly designed by corrupt engineers, genuine automotive parts are heavily taxed, leaving us at the mercy of imports. So that's some of your feedback on YouTube. Even Rahimtullah Omar, future of driving is self-driving cars. And he also says corruption is a major issue.
Right. Common thread there. Some structural issues, if it's around how the roads are designed, what kind of cars are on the roads, are they roadworthy? Also, what kind of quality inputs are we getting for car parts? How does that affect road safety? Of course, then driver behavior, as well. The discipline, of course, the training, all of that. So it's like a coming together of so many factors that's then leading us to road carnage. But in your research, Wahu, as you've worked, who is the most resistant to change? Is it drivers who are resistant to not driving while drinking, or not driving when they're tired, or having unroadworthy vehicles? Or is it policymakers who are resistant to, can we light up the highway? Can we clearly mark it? Can we have speed bumps? Things like those. Who's the most resistant to change?
Actually, all of us, because it's a collective thing, right? It starts from the top, going all the way. So it's all of us. Like literally, as a pedestrian, you normally see how some of us walk on the road. And I'm like, do you understand that this is a road? Okay. There are those ones who are cycling. But I love what one of the person has said. It comes also down to the designs of our roads. It's like literally, we need to approach it. And that's why I was talking about the safety approach system. It's whereby the design, all of us as a collective, we decide we cannot do a blame game on these. Now, how about we approach it from a safety where all of us are using these roads? So it's going to be all of us who are going to now shift our mindset, because in our country, it's also like about culture. Like these beautiful ways to express our culture at the same time adhering to road safety. Because again, road transport is one of the leading generating economy incomes in our country, and yet we have those so many problems. Now imagine if we had a better approach system to these, would even generate more income to our country and just reduce that number, because we are the future, the young people, and we cannot be killing the future.
Let me ask you, you've mentioned how, NTSA, you feel like they're really trying to make progress in terms of policy and the like. Are you continuing to work with certain authorities, and who are they, and how are you guys collaborating, if at all, on some of the advocacy you're doing?
Well, that's something I have been looking forward to. I mean, in my journey of advocacy, we have interacted with NTSA, and they are trying. But apart from trying, we need the action. Because there's this thing which I talked about in, I think, 2023. It's called an action plan, whereby it's a set of ways and approaches how to go about, all of us people, the stakeholders, the civil societies, all of these people making up in the road transport industry, coming together and actually now playing a role, not just talking about it, activating the action plan. And I'll say this, the document is there, and it's a government document. Well, when it's a government document, not everyone can access it. It's It's one of those documents where I feel they should make public, because it's a decade of action plan according to the UN Decade Action Plan 2021 to 2030 for road safety. And instead of having it there as just a document, let's start rolling out what is there, what is inside the document, the action, and activating those, because that's the only way we're gonna move ahead and actually cap that 50% by 2030. Yeah, and in a year we lose 1.3 million people globally. So that's like a mass weapon, and it's young people, you know. So in my journey, I'm always like, we need to really just come together. At the same time, there's a lot of how will I say, they need to include us in the decision-making table. I will insist on that, because young people.
Who? Include young people.
Yeah, young people, they have this, we have the solution. If you look at the Decade Action Plan for Road Safety, it's a very beautiful document, but okay, so what next? You know, and I see them trying, but the price is too high to pay. You know, young people are dying, and we really need it. Even children, we've been seeing an increase in the buses. So it's more of those, let's activate the action plans, you know, let's mitigate with one another. Let's just talk about sustainable ways and not just have them there. We need them to actually to get to work.
Yeah, so this is a document that exists. This and it's 2021 to 2031, 2030?
2021 to 2030. And then, so that's the UN Decade Action Plan.
But it's available online.
Yes. And then there's this, the one for NTSA, where it was drafted in 2023 and launched last year by the president, actually.
In April 2024, like a year ago. Almost to the month,
So, and it's a really good document if
implemented.
Yes, and now.
Right. Road accidents cost Kenya an estimated 450 billion. As 3.5% of the GDP annually. Death, injuries, loss of revenue, trauma to loved ones, 450.
That's a lot. We've had NTSA for more than 10 years now. I think it's coming to 15 years since we launched NTSA, right? And it's supposed to have been looking at, the mandate of NTSA is look at safety holistically and advise government on the policies that we need to come to have, the laws and regulations, advise the other agencies, the road agency on this is how the enforcement agencies, the police, this is how you enforce, and also sensitize the society on road safety. But we are seeing every year a rise in the number of accidents on our roads. So why is there a problem? And I always keep coming back, and I agree with the fixer who's saying that we come back all the way to design. And I say it's design and just corruption as a whole. Like Mariam said, how many of our roads are lit? I remember somebody actually posting on social media the other day. So we have a beautiful bypass called the Western Bypass. Right? Coming from Ruaka, going all the way to meet with the highway. That road is not lit. How many roads are lit? How many of our roads could you say that are actually properly lit? That is just lighting. How many roads are marked? Do you know whether you are on the oncoming lane or on the going lane or on the pedestrian side or on the curb? Do you know? Roads are not marked. How many roads are smooth? Every time you're on the road, just think about what you're doing with your hands. You will find that you're actually driving like this. Because that is the state of the roads in Kenya.
For those on radio, he's shaking dramatically.
Very dramatic.
Very dramatically.
That is how our roads are.
That's just the roads. And then now we go to the vehicle. And I think we talked about this as well. Maria might have mentioned it on whether it's even fit to be on the road. And then whether you have somebody driving it who is qualified. It's those compounding factors. We were actually talking about even coming to work every day. Every day I start with a prayer and I'm just like, just get me to work safely because it is so dark. You put your lights bright. So when they're dipped and the moment you're going somewhere and you feel like, I just want to see what's ahead of me. Half the time when you put your lights back out, you're just a few seconds away from either hitting someone or a pothole. That's how frightening it is.
That's it. And our case was the Kenyatta Avenue roundabout, which I think a lot of us use when getting here. Every 2-3 days, there's a car in that roundabout.
There's a vehicle on top of the roundabout.
Inside, like, it's an issue of lighting. People just don't see it. It's not the first time it's happened. There was a similar issue on Ngong Road, but that wasn't a roundabout. It's just a ditch on the road. And it's like, that's within a city.
Right.
Now imagine doing that on major highways where people are going full speed, full throttle. That's how these accidents happened. And in cases where we've had accident black spots where small structural changes have been made, suddenly they're not a black spot anymore. Something as simple as barriers, so that there's if it's a climbing lane and this lane and then that other lane, there's a clear difference between those two. Oncoming traffic doesn't have to, that's it. And we don't do those things.
Do we have pedestrian walkways? Like anywhere? Like just imagine, so you are, walking along, say, Mombasa Road, okay? You're coming from this area to this part, you want to go to Bunyala. Where do you walk? Is there a pedestrian walkway? How do you cross the road?
Expressway.
How do you cross the road? Now there's an express. How do you cross?
People are doing that.
Especially
You're
when
playing.
there's an express. If you look at the section between Westlands and Rironi, this is the Maimahiu Junction. That road has been under construction for the last 15 years.
It has.
There's
So
a
let's
child
go
who
be
was born and they
constructed.
think this is how a road looks like.
Yeah.
They go to school, they think this is how a road looks, because the road has been under construction all this time. There is no way for pedestrians to cross. You have come out of a matatu, you are carrying a child, and you have a bag here, and you're carrying some load, and you've got to dodge matatus to go and stand in the middle of the road, and then wait for the other traffic from the other side.
And just hope you'll make it. Wahu, how can we make this a collective responsibility? Because just listening to Eric, Mariam, and myself, there's a passion there. You know what's wrong. You want to see something fixed. I also noticed that road awareness campaigns are very sporadic, and that's no one's to blame if these are people coming together with their own resources. These times I've seen very powerful campaigns around road safety, a lot of them around drinking under the influence. But what do you think every single person can do in their own way to just make sure that they're creating, safer roads and safer driving conditions in Kenya? What's your call to action to everyone in an individual capacity?
It must be accountability, because when you're thinking about walking, driving, we have to be accountable with one another, and you have to start it within. You have to think about this gift of life it's the most precious thing. So for me, it's accountability. It's not easy. But we just have to be accountable, because the price is too high to pay. So the approach should be accountability. There's no other way around it. We just need to be accountable to our actions. When we're on the road, you have to think about not just yourself, because when we cause this road accident, not we, but it's a collective, because like I said, it's a cultural thing we have. It also starts in the mind. The moment we shift our perspectives from, because we're all road users. There's no one who has a flying car. All of us are road users. So if all of us are using these roads, then we have to be cordial with one another, be graceful, because we are all road users. But there's no one who has a flying car. When it comes to cycling, pedestrians, at some point we are all pedestrians. Whether you're coming out from the getting some fuel and going to the shop, at some point we are all pedestrians. So why then, when it comes to when giving right, pedestrians, we don't have no right of path. It's when you're passing, it's literally you have no right. And yet we are saying, again, itakuja down to the designs, the people. It's a collective thing where we are let's have a sustainable, safe system approach where all of us, we are all road users. So all of us have to be accountable with one another. It's not an easy pill to swallow, but the price is too high to pay, because if we're looking at the money it could generate, economy-wise, if we do these things the right way, we're just going to take our nation to another level, because that's what we're here for as young people. And just generally, all of us, we want to see a nation that has better transport and road safety system approaches. And just for our generations, that road on Rironi, and it's always being constructed. I'm like,
To date.
these investments could go to even other places and actually generate more revenue for us. So again, corruption plays a very big role, but we need to be accountable with one another. My call to action is just be accountable, and also those action plans, let's activate them. Wacha zisikae tu hapo.
Not on paper.
To gather dust.
Let's move somewhere else. Let's make sure that you're not just, a driver with a license, but you are a competent driver. Now that we're in the CBC get a driving. So are you a competent driver, or are you just a licensed driver?
I like what she said, that at some point we're all pedestrians. Never thought of it that way. That's very profound. So I'm always thinking about the other person, and it's true. Pedestrians are just gaslit for simply being pedestrians. There's a crossing, there's hooting. So if you stop, you're cast out by the person behind you. So I think that awareness and accountability, self-checking, is also really important. I like how you put that.
And in
a lot of food for thought,
In many places, there is no marked crossing. Okay? So a pedestrian then will just cross. And there are other places where there is a clear footbridge, but a pedestrian will opt not to use the footbridge. So it's all of us on what do we do? I mean, how responsible are we? And that's why I was raising that question of, must we have alcohol on the road for us to see a reduction in the number of drink driving cases? You have gone to sit in a pub, you are drinking, and you have passed your limit, right? And then you will take yourself into that car behind the wheel and actually start moving. I mean,
is there some level, a bigger level of public awareness and education that needs to be done? Because when I think back to...
There's no awareness that you need to know.
Hold on. We all, ukimwi ni mbaya, what we knew. It's like, okay. But a campaign, pamoja tuangamizi ukimwi, every single piece of media had that message. It was, you could not escape it. Where you go, achana na mpango wa kando, do this, do that. And we saw significant decreases in our HIV infection rates. It's a deadly, considered deadly disease at the time when it develops into AIDS. And still, people were not moving as carefully as they should until someone drilled. So why can't we do the same for road safety?
Right, because you have to look at the issue in your face. I remember an advert. I don't know if it was a campaign or part of it, but it looks like this group of friends going to a pub. One doesn't make it, but they're right back the next weekend without you. It was so painful. It's like people will move on. You were there for a good time. You're no longer there. They're still back to their same habits, so you're easily replaceable.
It was a beautiful campaign. It was like AABL.
It was very, very powerful. Our director, Jackso, has also reminded me to include in this conversation that some footbridges are also not safe or well lit at night.
That's a great point.
And that's a whole, so it's all these compounding factors. I mean, look at everything we've talked about, from footbridges to design, to DUI, to corruption. And I think, again, addressing a lot of things in Kenya, starting with corruption, even though it's been said to death, it's there because if people keep doing this because they're like, I'm going to get away with it, or nobody's going to see me, or nobody's going to check me. So I will keep walking where I'm not supposed to walk. I'm going to drink, even though I know I've drunk beyond my limit, because when was the last time I saw somebody put behind bars for drinking beyond the limit? So that's what it is.
True. I've got the tender, I'm doing this road. I could mark it. That's part of those are part of my deliverables. But I could also just keep that money to myself, or I could. It's meant to be this wide. If I make it 100 meters less, well, not 100. That's a lot, but you get just a little 5, 3.
I pocket something.
I pocket a little something on all those materials, and that's corruption, people, costing lives.
Costing lives. I was going to say, people's lives are at stake. Wow.
You have dealt with many people, I'm sure, Wahu. You've met with people who have survived accidents. You've met with people who have lost loved ones in accidents. When you listen to those people, right? What do they say? Like, what comes out from them? Because they're actually lived experience of this bad side of road accidents.
First of all, it's always it's a worst experience, because if you've lost someone or something, like the life has changed, it's painful. Like it's painful to listen to it, And for me, it came to a point where I'm like, I'm going to continue using my voice. I will make noise if I need to, because guess what? The price is too high to pay. Young people, even mothers and like generally the gift of life is such a precious, that's the most precious gift. But it has come down to these, it's a cultural thing, normalizing the rights to the wrongs to the rights, such a way when you're doing the right thing on the road, you're being seen as if you're the one who is crazy, but you're the one doing the right thing. So it came down to, at what point did we arrive here? And we've been having these meaningful conversations. And so what's the missing thing? The missing thing is just the action. Like, let's not just talk. And we have the solutions, because imagine all of that generating like revenue, and imagine if we can do the right thing, how much we can be on a higher level as a nation, you know. And our roads, you know, they need to connect to our dreams. They don't need to kill our dreams as young people, you know. Like, it's time where I'm like, I don't need to be thinking of I'm gambling, you know. Generally all of us, but for young people, I'm like, these roads, they need to be connecting to our dreams, not killing our dreams along the way, because we are the ones we're the ones dying. And it's painful to see a mother bury her children, or someone who's lost her mom. It's psychologically not even okay for us to be going through that as a nation, and we are okay with it. I am not okay with it, and I'm really grateful for such conversations and fixing the nation, because we are not just going to be talking about it now. We've moved from the talking part. We've highlighted the problems. We have the solutions. So what are we waiting for? Let's do it. Like Kikombe says, safety is a culture. It's a habit that's taught and nurtured. Enforcement is reactive. Education safety must be proactive. Ni haya tuko sasa. In other words, Kikombe has dropped the mic. And with that, we say thank you very much to Wahu for coming to join us today, for all the work that you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Susan Wahu Ndonga is a road safety advocate, and she's been our guest, reminding us that road safety is paramount. We are losing way too many people on our roads, and it's costing us a lot. In the next hour, we now turn the conversation into a positive side. Humanity on Wheels, Kelvin Boro, who is one of the crew that works in a matatu operating the Rongai route and was highlighted on NTV and on social media over the weekend, will be joining us. We'll be talking about those people who are actually doing the good thing on our roads. It's coming up to 8 a.m. Good morning.